We're going to get started here. So I want to thank everybody for coming and attending today's webinar. We are talking today about answer engine optimization, AEO. It's the new SEO. Basically, what is it? What does it mean for the kitchen remodeling industry, for the bathroom remodeling industry, cabinetry, really anybody in home services? And how is this going to change the way that you can attract customers to your business? So what we're going to cover today is pretty simple. First of all, we're going to talk about the paradigm shift from SEO, from search engine optimization to AEO, answer engine optimization, how people really are changing the way they search, looking rather from information to looking for actual answers to questions. I'm going to talk a little bit about how consumer search behavior has evolved in terms of the devices that we're using, in terms of the platforms that we're using, where we're looking for different types of information, and how that is impacted by answer engine optimization on local businesses. Finally, we're going to really dive in deep and we're going to talk about some key strategies to optimize for AEO, what really you can do in order to get found for AEO. So I guess let's kind of dive right into this. You're here today, you're watching this presentation that some guy here with a shirt saying Kitchen Remodeling SEO is putting on. Why the heck should we listen to this guy? Who is he? Well, my name is Mike Goldstien. I'm the founder of Kitchen Remodeling SEO. We are a marketing agency that works specifically with kitchen and bathroom remodeling contractors and remodeling companies across the United States and Canada. And that's all we do. We don't work with restaurants. We don't work with CPAs. We don't work with roofers, right? We are specialists in this. We actually are members of the National Kitchen and Bath Association. As a matter of fact, I'm going to be speaking and giving almost this exact presentation at the National Kitchen and Bath Association, the National Home Builders Association trade show in Orlando next February. I've been doing this for about 20 years now. So I've got quite a bit of experience in not just digital marketing, but digital marketing for kitchen and bath remodelers. And I am the author of one of the best-selling books on Amazon as it relates to AEO for kitchen remodelers called The Hidden Reason AI Keeps Promoting Your Competitors Instead of You. I also did author the book about 4 years ago, The Kitchen Remodeler's Guide to Google Maps and Local SEO. And we're going to talk today about how everything has changed from local SEO and Google Maps to AEO. So that's basically who I am and why you might want to listen to me. So let's get right into it. What the heck is AEO? Well, what it is, like I said, it stands for Answer Engine Optimization. You might have heard it called GEO. You might have heard it called AIO. All these the alphabet soup type of stuff here. What it really means is that we are optimizing the content that we put out on the internet to answer specific questions that people have, rather than just putting out marketing information about our company or about us or giving our background information. We're actually answering what people want to know. So essentially, what's going on today is that consumers are using all these different devices. Consumers are looking for information in different ways. Everybody now in their home has an Alexa. Everybody's got on their phone. They probably have a Siri, or they've got whatever the digital equivalent is for your phone, right? And people are constantly, "Hey Siri, who should I hire to remodel my kitchen in San Jose, California?" Or "Hey Alexa, is there a good kitchen and bath remodeling contractor in Tampa, Florida that you are aware of?" Or all these things, and people, they just want to get that answer right away. But in addition to that, people are now asking AI for specific recommendations based on different things. So people might be going to Chat GPT. They might be using Microsoft's Copilot. Among Copilot, who's the best remodeler in Tampa, Florida? Who should I hire in Sarasota, Florida, in ChatGPT? Perplexity, a lot of people are using Perplexity now. Specifically, this is an AI search engine essentially that crawls in real time. You ask it questions, and it's really getting popular because anybody with a PayPal account is now getting the paid Perplexity for 12 months for free. So I think a lot of people are going to start using that even over Google. And that's really important because Perplexity looks at freshness of content over breadth of content. So that's something that's really important. So let's talk a little bit about kind of what Google is doing now. Google, as they say, is the 100-pound gorilla in the room. I like to say Google's gone on a diet. They're now the 650-pound gorilla because there are all these other LLMs out there. There is Chat GPT, Perplexity, Claude, Grok, Manus, Copilot. I could go on, right? But Google still gets the lion's share of things. So what is Google doing these days when you ask them a question? Well, they are favoring these featured snippets so that we have all this position zero stuff. What does position zero mean? Well, it means that people now are putting in full questions, full thoughts into Google. It's no longer Kitchen Remodeler near me, but rather it's our white shaker cabinets going out of style in Los Angeles, California, or it's going to be something to the effect of, can I replace my countertops without replacing my cabinets? Questions like that. And what's going to happen is Google is going to give the AI looks at all the different websites that it thinks are relevant, and it extracts information from a little bit from here, a little bit from there. It will cite work out the information, and it'll tell you, so in this instance, what it told you was, no, shaker cabinets are not going to be going out of style in Glendale, California. And it's telling you, the RTA cabinet store is where it found that information. This is what we call position zero, because you don't have to go to the website. You just get the information right away and you become the trusted source. Why this is important is that people are at the point now where we want instant gratification. We do not want to do the work anymore. I don't want to have to go and scroll through those 10 blue links under the maps, under the ads, under the people also ask section. Then go to those pages, go look through their content, find the answer that I'm looking for. Nobody wants to wait for that stuff anymore, guys. They just want that answer handed to them on a silver platter. And what the average homeowner is doing now is they're looking for who is the trusted source. Who does Google think that you should take that information from? And then that's who they cite. And oftentimes what happens then is either A, you're going to click over to the site where that information came from, or B, oh, I see it came from RTA Cabinets, or oh, I see it came from Kitchen Concepts in San Jose, California. I see it came from Meltini Kitchen and Bath in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, wherever it might be. And you literally will put their name in Google, look them up. How do I contact these guys? And that's how this is really changing. Beyond that, you've got to kind of think about this. Businesses that answer these questions are the ones who are going to get cited. So businesses who tell people all about why they're the best, Google's not going to cite you. But if you answer the question, can I match my granite countertops with a glass backsplash? You know what? Google's going to pick it up when someone asks the question. It's going to cite you. So, and I said this at the beginning, I'm going to say it again. Stop telling people what you want them to know and start answering the questions that they actually have. And when you do that, you become the trusted source. You get that position zero, and you're going to get more clicks. You're going to get more phone calls. You're going to get more leads, because just like, if I was looking for an attorney, right? I might not know 1,000 attorneys, even though there are 1,000 in my city. I know the 2 or 3 that are on TV all the time, right? I might not know, the best pizza shop, but I know the one that everybody talks about. That's where it goes. So you want to be the most well-known, and the way to become the most well-known is to be the most cited. So let's talk a little bit about the specifics of how this is all changing. So like I said, in the past, people would search cabinet installer near me. Now people are searching what's the best cabinet for an outdoor kitchen and who should I hire to install it, right? So it's a very different scenario. In this case, we might ask the question, who should I hire in San Jose, California, to remodel my kitchen, which is what this down here, this AI search was from. And you'll note that there were only 3 people. So General Construction, Home Quality Remodeling, and Kitchen Concepts. These were the 3 guys that were recommended. In the past, you used to be able to be in position 5, in position 8, in position 10 on page 1, and you could work on moving your way up, and people might scroll down, and maybe they'd even go to page 2. Frankly, I always say, where's the best place to hide the dead bodies? It's page 2 of Google, Nobody goes there, right? Well, now it's almost where's the best place to hide the dead bodies? In position one of the searches, because no one even gets to them anymore. They stop it after AI answers their question. So if you're not in the conversation, you are invisible. That's really important. So let's talk a little bit here about the difference between traditional SEO. And by the way, there's still is value in that. Don't get me wrong. First of all, if you don't rank well for SEO, it's almost impossible to rank in the answers. You do have to have some good placement there. But beyond that, how is SEO different from AEO? Well, with SEO, we were focused on ranking websites using specific keywords. So maybe your agency, or maybe you would go into a tool like SEMrush or Ahrefs, and you'd say, hey, I want to know, does my website come up on page one for any of these 50 different keywords? And then we would optimize our pages, and we would stuff the keywords in there. We would put them in the titles, in the meta descriptions. We would build links using those keywords to link back to our pages from our guest posts. We would make sure we use section headings that might have the keywords in there. We would do all the little things that you needed to optimize so that Google thought that you were important. Now, it's not so much about keywords. Nobody searches with 2 or 3 words. They use full thoughts. We've gotten smarter, and we're asking more intelligent questions. So AEO focuses on delivering instant and accurate answers based on the type of question. Even more important, AEO understands the search intent behind the question. So what will happen oftentimes is Google or Chat GPT or Claude or Perplexity or whatever knows your type, the questions that the user typically asks, and it will try and interpret, did you really mean the question you asked, or did you actually mean this other question here? And let me tell you who the answer is from these questions. So with AEO, we're optimizing for real responses and based on the user intent. Are they looking for an informational type of question versus is this a transactional or commercial intent? Am I asking something like, what are the trending kitchen remodeling styles in San Antonio, Texas? Which maybe I'm looking for a list of a whole bunch of different concepts versus who should I hire to remodel my kitchen in San Antonio, Texas? Very different search intent. So the bottom line is this. If you own position 0, you're going to get leads and you're going to become the trusted source. It's just that simple. So how do we get there though? That's really easy to say. Get in position 0. Okay, how do I drive a nice cut? Go buy a Mercedes. Well, how do I make enough money to buy a Mercedes? That's really one of the things that we need to dive into here. So let's talk about the actual strategies for kitchen and bathroom modeling companies specifically that will get you cited in those answers in Chat GPT, in Perplexity, in Google AI overviews. Well, the first thing is we need to optimize for featured snippets. So how do we do that? Is a couple things. Number one, we need to have an idea of what the questions people are asking. So that's the first thing is you can think about if you've been in business for a while, you get the same question over and over and over again. Generally, they're going to be high level questions like how much does it cost to remodel my kitchen? How long is it going to take to remodel my kitchen? Am I going to be able to use my bathroom while you're remodeling it? These types of things. But if you don't have that whole litany of all the different questions, because you want to create content for each one of those and a page for each one, don't put it all on one page. You need to have lots and lots of different log content, which is the best way to do this. You need to figure out what are those questions. Well, a good way are 2 free websites that you can use. They both also are paid subscriptions to them that will let you do this at scale. But if you just want to kind of start slow, the websites that I recommend using is something called Answer the Public, and another one is also ask.com. If you go to those, what happens is you put in one question, and then it looks at the Google's people also ask answers. And think of, if you ever looked at those drop downs, you select a question and then it repopulates with like 5 or 6 new questions related to your question. And then if you click on one of those, it repopulates with another 5 or 6 related to that question. So what those websites, what Also Ask does is it literally goes 3 levels deep and gives you all the different things that Google has identified as related questions to your main question. So now we know what we need to write about. We want to make sure that we cite facts. We want to make sure that we answer the question immediately. Do not, and I cannot emphasize this enough, do not give background information before you answer the question. The worst thing you can do, you know, why should I hire, someone to remodel my kitchen? Well, my father was a handyman, and his grandfather before him was a custom builder, and I learned the love of craftsmanship from my family. No one cares. Nobody, absolutely nobody cares what your grandfather, your father did. What they care about is, how much are you going to charge me to remodel my kitchen, and can you do it at the quality that I expect? Right? Answer the darn questions. All right. So that's really important. So we have a question as our title. We have the question as what we call the H1 section heading on the page. Answer it. 3 to 4 sentences. That's it. Right to the point. Then get into your content. Cite a few facts that support it. Maybe bring in some case study work. Maybe bring in some examples. You're going to have multiple different pages on your site about similar questions. Internally link your website, your pages together so that the bots can follow and see, oh, you are actually an expert on this entire field. You have content on all of these different aspects of that question. Make sure that you create subsection headings and then answer each subsection with a quick answer. Bullet list, numbered list, make it easy to follow, easily digestible. So how much do quartz countertops cost is not about, quartz countertops used to be much more affordable. No one cares. Quartz countertops in the Boston, Massachusetts area typically cost about $2,500 for a slab, and then another $7,000 to install, and whatever the number is, it is, right? Okay, the second piece is, we're talking about questions, but we also want to think about FAQs, frequently asked questions that relate to our main question. You're not going to create a 3,000 word blog article. These should be short, punchy, say 700 to 1,000 words at the most. Really, just get to the point, answer the stuff. But there are going to be related questions. So now at the bottom of your content, what I want you to do is list 5 or 6 frequently asked questions that relate to your main question. Answer it in 2 sentences or less. Link in those answers to the pages that take the deep dive and do the 700 to 1,000 word blog article about those questions. So now we've got the FAQs and we've got the full deep dive. Now you need to be the trusted authoritative source. So what Google's looking for is, how are you different? If your idea of answering this stuff is going to Chat GPT and say, write me an article about what is the benefit of remodeling my kitchen for resale value, I can assure you 150 other people have done the same thing, and your content's going to look just like theirs. And it's going to be pretty difficult for you to get selected unless you've got thousands of external links pointing to you and you've been mentioned in press releases and do some of the other stuff we're going to talk about in the next few slides, right? So what you want to do is you want to cite real relevant information, cite actual statistics, cite case studies, literally pull in your Google reviews about projects that you did similar to whatever the question is you're answering. Now, here's a little bonus tip. If you want to get good statistics that are up to date, use the AI platform Perplexity, perplexity.ai. It will crawl. Hey, Perplexity, tell me what are the most recent kitchen design trends in Omaha, Nebraska? And it's going to go and find them for you. And it's going to cite where it got them for you. And then in your content, you're going to give those answers, but you're then going to link over to those other sources so that Google can see that you're not trying to steal their content, but you're just using it to support what you have already said. Okay. Now comes the tricky part. We've talked about formatting and where we get, putting the right information on our pages. Now we're talking about the coding behind the pages. Structured data markup. It's called schema. So basically, if you've ever heard of a meta tag, think of this as a meta tag on steroids. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to create the coding that tells the bots what our content is about. Is this a how-to article? Is it a review? Is it a product? Is it a blog? Is it a news article? Whatever it might be. So we need to write that schema. Same as, is there a LinkedIn profile about the author? Is there a Facebook business page about the company? Is there a Google business profile about the company? Telling Google all of these different web pages are all the same person who was the author. Author schema, by the way, is a really big one. So you want to talk to your agency, whoever manages your website for you, manages your SEO for you, and ask them, hey, are you putting schema into this so that we can get found? Schema is actually as important as the content itself. The difference is the only body who sees schema is someone who looks at your codes. If you right-click view source, but you know who does that? Every single bot. Google does that. Chat GPT does that. Copilot does that. And by the way, that's how you get listings that look like this. That's how on Google you get these photos. That's how on Google you get the average star rating, the price. This is all generated because schema is on the page. All right. The next piece is probably where we can differentiate ourselves. So anybody with a good tool, can write content, can optimize it, can make sure that it's done well, can write the schema. But now what we need to do is we need to actually get referenced by people other than ourselves. So the best way to do this is to write a press release about your content, link to your content within that press release, and syndicate that off through, whether it's PR Newswire, whether it's Signal Genesis, whatever the PR distribution platform you want to use is, and you will get dozens, if not hundreds, of authoritative sites linking back to talking about the content you just created. Now, why is that more important than just going to get a directory or a citation? Because Google knows and ChatGPT knows that you can't just submit a press release and it automatically gets published. There is editorial review. Either an AI or actually a human being has read that content and they've confirmed it's not controversial. They've confirmed it's not trying to sell a product. They have confirmed that it is worthy of being on their website and they post it there. So you get a little more authority. And as people talk about you, we talk about positive, neutral, negative sentiment in terms of mentions online. Most of those press releases typically have positive sentiment. So that's something that all the bots pick up on. Now, the next thing that you can do, and this is the best thing you can possibly do, is if you have something unique about you, about the content, about something on your website, about something your company does, get a notation in Wikipedia on a relevant page. Now, that's awful difficult sometimes if you're brand new, if you haven't been around for a long time, if you don't have already a reputation. There are people called Wikipedia editors. You can find them on Upwork. You can find them on Fiverr. You can literally just go to Google and say Wikipedia editor. These guys are not cheap. Guys, they charge like $500 an hour sometimes because they know how valuable they are. But it is definitely something good to do. Now, the next best thing is if you can't be in Wikipedia, start getting people to talk about you or even promoting your own content on Reddit. Now, you got to be careful on Reddit because if it looks like you're being self-promotional, you could get banned. But the funny thing is, if you look at Chat GPT or you look at Perplexity and you click on the sources button, where it shows you where it got all the information, or you just look at, who's being cited, 70% of queries on those two platforms alone typically have either a Reddit or a core result somewhere in it. Google loves to cite Reddit. Look at any SERP page. I can almost guarantee you, if you asked a question of any sort, there's going to be a Reddit response in there somewhere. So if you can get on Reddit, that's really great. And then, of course, Google reviews, House reviews, if you get reviews on Home Advisor, any place that you Yelp, any place that you can get reviews and people talk about you, about the brand, that brand mention is really going to be helpful in having Google think that you are worthy of citing. So these are really big. And then the last piece is you want to chat with the platforms. So I asked the question, who are the 3 best kitchen remodelers in Marietta, California? And ChatGPT gave me these answers. Well, you know what? My company's not in there. So what I'm going to do? I'm going to hit the thumbs down here, circle it right here for you so you know where it is. And ChatGPT is going to say, why did you say that? Why did you give us a thumbs down? And you're going to say, Content was not helpful. As a matter of fact, I actually went off and I found my own answer to this question. I found this website that was much more helpful. Here is why, and this is the website it was. List your site and tell them why you're better. Now, little tip, don't use Chat GPT to do this if you're going to look for an answer in Chat GPT. Use Claude. Use somebody else. But go to a different AI and then say, I want you to compare my page to the 3 pages that that ChatGPT here said, and tell me why my page is better. And then use that to go over to ChatGPT and give it the answer. What's going to happen is the bot now sees that you said, hey, there's another resource that might be even more valuable. This is why it's more valuable. It's going to follow it. It's going to digest what you gave it. And if in fact your content is better, is more valuable, or at least as valuable, it takes that into account in the algorithm. Now, this is why it's important for you to actually have good content. You can't just go to an AI, say, write me an article about this, copy and paste. Garbage in, garbage out, right? You need to prompt it. We could spend an entire webinar on how to use these AI writers doing it properly, how to prompt, what is the prompt engineering background? In short, tell it what you want to do, give it some background information, ask it a question before you give me an answer. Is there anything else you need to know in order to provide the best possible answer for clarity purposes? And run with that. So it's pretty simple. Like I say, all you got to do is write content that's structured for featured snippets, add FAQs in, make sure you have facts, use case studies, cite statistics, KPIs, whatnot, add schema, get mentioned in other places, and engage with the engines if they don't find you right away. So now let's talk about what's the future of search. Where are we going with AEO? Well, as we talked about, more and more searches are going to be conducted via voice assistants. More and more people are going to pick up their phone. Hey, ChatGPT. Hey, Perplexity. Hey, Siri. Whatever it is. Hey, Alexa. Yep. And they're just talking, and they're talking for maybe 30 seconds. Think about how much you can say in 30 seconds. The other thing is, think about this. People used to type into Google. Well, I don't know about you, and if you listen to me and my whole Boston accent here, clearly I can talk a hell of a lot faster than most people can type, right? And because of that, in 30 seconds, I can appreciate give you a two-page prompt. That's the future. People are going to talk to things. So you need to think about think in terms of conversations. How would I ask my friend this question? That's the same way they're probably asking the AI for it. So AI is going to play a much greater role in determining these search results than the 3-4 word searches that people used to do in Google and in Bing and Yahoo. All right. And honestly, guys, if you adopt this early, you're going to dominate the market. And the reason for that is really simple. Very few people are doing this yet. Everybody knows it's coming. But think of it this way. It's a whole lot harder to knock you off the top than it is for you to get to the top. So once you're at the top, now someone's got to do twice as much work as you did to knock you off. So let's just wrap up here a little bit, talk about what we covered. So what we covered today was the shift from traditional search engine optimization to answer engine optimization. We talked about how consumer search behavior is evolving with voice and with AI, why it's critical, why it's so important for local visibility and lead generation that you become that trusted source and you become not just for one answer, but for everything related to your business. And we talked about the 6 kind of phases of the 6 things that you need to do to actually get found in Chat GPT. So at this point, I'm going to stop, pause for any questions that might be out there. I'm guessing just put it right into the chat if you like. Oh, that's an interesting one. Okay, Paul wants to know if I am going to use a writer to use, which one should I use? Well, Paul, that's kind of like asking me who's my favorite kid, right? They all have their own unique aspects to them. I like to say that you don't use just one writer, you use them and stack them together, right? So what I like to do, like I said before, is I like to always start everything in Perplexity and ask it to give me recent statistics, KPIs, Give me examples of how something is going, whatever I'm talking about. Take that and I go over to Chat GPT and I say, okay, Chat GPT, I want you to create me a buyer persona for someone who might be interested in remodeling their kitchen in whatever your city is. It's going to do that. Okay, now that we have identified the target audience, I want you to look at all this information I got here from Perplexity. Tell me how that information corresponds to my buyer persona. Okay, now that we have the buyer persona, we understand some of the recent information. What I'd like you to do is to create a content brief about an article on whatever my question might be. Take that content brief with all that information. It's going to include all the statistics in there, very likely. Now go to Claude and put the content brief into Claude and say, hey, Claude, I want you to look at this content brief. I want you to look at this buyer persona and write the article based on the content brief in 800 to 1,000 words. And that's kind of how I would do that. Any other questions? Oh, okay. So that's definitely an interesting one. Do you always need to, so I'm sorry, Lisa asked, do you always need to include FAQs in your content? So Lisa, you should always include FAQs, but here's the funny thing. If you write your content with section headings and subsection headings, and make the section heading and the subsection headings questions, and you answer them like we talked about, 3 to 4 sentences, there's a schema type called FAQ schema. Put the FAQ schema into your page along with article schema, along with author schema about you. And now you actually have an FAQ page that is an article. So that works. All right. So I don't see any other questions. We kind of have a small crowd here today. If you are watching the recording of this and you have any questions about this stuff, always, hit me up, DM me, give me a call, come to our website, chat with me. We'll talk about that in a second, how you get a hold of me. So here's the good news. What we told everybody is ahead of time, if you come to the webinar, and even those who are watching the recording, and you stick around to the end like you have, there's some free stuff coming your way. So wait, there's more. If you take a look at this QR code right now and you scan or you go to our website at kitchenremodeling.seo.com/ebook, you will see the book I had mentioned that I have authored and is available on Amazon right now, which we are selling for, I think it's $16.99 or $19.99 a copy. You can download the entire transcript of that book completely for free. If you come out to the National Kitchen Bath Association conference in February, we're going to be giving this book out there as well, just so you know. But this is a roadmap to just taking this webinar and going in way more detail. It's a short book. I think it's like 215 pages. But you can get that full roadmap here. So hopefully that will provide some value to you. If you found this helpful though, and you want to get more information like this, learn more, see some of the other webinars, always check us out on YouTube. Go to the Kitchen Remodeling SEO channel, and there's tons and tons of content. Our podcast episodes are there. Crushing It with Kitchen Remodeling is there. Great place to find more information, totally free. So hope you enjoy that. I want to thank you for staying with me till the end. If you would like to talk more, if you'd like to learn a little bit more about AEO, one of the things I'm offering right now, just so you know, is anybody who wants me to do a personal one-on-one audit of your online presence, where you show up in Chat GPT, where you show up in Google AI overviews, where you show up in Claude and Perplexity, and what you can do differently to impact it better. Happy to do that for you. Reach out to me on Facebook. Reach out to me at our website, kitchenremodeling.seo.com, and just click the schedule button, and I'm happy to jump on with you, and we'll do it. Give me a call, shoot me an email, whatever's easiest for you. So again, my name is Mike Goldstien. I am the founder of Kitchen Remodeling SEO. I hope you found this helpful, and look forward to seeing you at the next webinar. Ciao for now.